What's up, everybody? It's Cassie Joy. Today we're going to be covering DaVinci Resolve. I'm only going to be doing a little bit of a basics lesson for today, but the rabbit hole goes so deep. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to get it installed, set up, basic keybinds for editing, and then I'm going to go into a little bit of philosophy about art and the art of editing. This class is going to be about probably 20 minutes and then another half hour of Q&A afterwards. For the YouTube video, I will separate those out for people who don't want to see the full thing. You'll have a full-length one and then just the cut-down one. First thing we're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to Blackmagic Design. Blackmagic Design. I think it's .com. Yeah, there we go. /products/DaVinci Resolve. It's over here. Come on over here. This is DaVinci Resolve. I'm going to take off overlay for this stream. This is DaVinci Resolve 17, the newest version, just came out. The beauty about DaVinci Resolve it's for the most part free software. You got to scroll a long time to get to a download like that. DaVinci Resolve Studio is their paid-for version. I think the license comes in at about $300. It's worth it if you're a full-time editor or you're a full-time content creator or you want to invest in this or you just want to learn how to do other things with it. Normal DaVinci Resolve is powerful enough for most people, but if you want to get into like stereoscopic 3D tools, a lot of the Resolve filtering, some of the Fairlight features, HDR is a big one, and a lot of the post-color correcting tools are available in the paid-for version. But the free version does everything that a game streamer or a YouTuber of my size, per se, is going to want to use. So you just click free download. I'm not going to download this right now because internet. I'm live streaming this lesson, but I already have it installed. So you're going to install the DaVinci 17 newest version. It's a little crashy at times. The 16 is a little bit more stable if you're into that, but 17's got a lot of cool optimizations, and 17 is what I'm going to be using to learn with tonight. So one of the first thing you're going to do is you're going to install it, right? You're going to open up this. Let me do that. You're going to open up DaVinci Resolve, let it load, let it go through this concept screen. They feature all their little different products trying to get you to buy things, you know. They want you to give into their entire ecosystem, and that's really where Blackmagic shines, is if you give into their entire ecosystem. But you don't have to. You don't have to. For those who don't know, DaVinci Resolve is one of the what's the word I'm looking for? Not fabled, but like it's legendary in the industry for its color grading. Before it became an NLE, which is a nonlinear editor like Premiere and Vegas. This is the thing that I learned to edit on, or learned to color on, in film school, was Resolve, and then you would export the color settings back into Premiere or back into Final Cut and do everything else in Final Cut, but you would always color in Resolve. That was like the thing you did. So when you first open up Resolve, you get this nice little project scene. I got all of my projects in here. Do as I say, not as I do, especially when it comes to databases. So DaVinci Resolve's, unlike Premiere, where you're like, where did I save that one file? Where did I save that one project file? Oh no, I've lost everything. DaVinci Resolve does everything within databases, and databases are just basically your project file save location. It's a little bit more to it than that, but it's your project files save locations, and you can make multiple databases on a single computer for whatever different things. I have my gaming projects on one of my bigger drive because I know the cache was gonna take up more space on that drive because of the bigger files, but all my normal stuff go on my super fast NVMe drive, which is why I have these two. One of the first things you're gonna want to do is just click make new database, and then you're gonna find a location. Where do you want to save all of your save files? Where do you want your caching to default to? Where do you want it to store proxies by default and that sort of stuff? So I'm gonna go to my scratch disk, and we're gonna right click. We're gonna make a new folder. We're gonna call this lesson plan. I'm gonna end up deleting this database afterwards because I don't need it. And then you select folder. You could set a custom image if you want. Let's load a custom image in there. I'm just going to throw my logo in there. Let's see. Where's the T Queen logo? There we go. So there you go. You also, in the higher end of things, you can, you know, load in a network drive to be a database location. I don't do that. I don't edit off of a NAS, but if you're a company, if you're a company, you don't need to be watching this lesson, let's be real. But so that is how you do that. I'm going to call that lesson plan right there. Create. You let it do its thing, and then it makes a new project. So there are two ways to make new projects in DaVinci Resolve. First is just by clicking this Untitled project, and you're going to get a blank canvas with none of your default settings and all that stuff. Or you can click New Project. It will open up a new project with your default settings. I'm just going to click the Untitled project because I end up loading my settings anyway. Let me shrink this window down. Unfortunate. I had like scaled this out for this lesson and everything, and then Windows just said, "Nyet." It's always real difficult to do this because, you know, the ultra wide. I'm going to head over to this view because Untitled project OP indeed. What's up, Hellhound? Yay, project scaling for a tutorial on an ultra wide monitor. We'll just stick with this for now. So here's Resolve. It looks like every other editor. You got these 5, 6 tabs at the bottom here, all of which do different things. You have your, what is the actual proper term of this? This is your media tab. That's right. So this is where you're going to want to import all your media, do all your browsing. You can just go to your file browser and just drag a clip in and it will do it. But this is the more preferred way to do it. You can also set up your favorites here. So I have a direct link to all of my recording drives. I have a direct link to the stream archive, which is where I store like recordings of live streams. And then I have a favorite to my brand drive that has all my streaming assets from last year. I haven't updated this yet because I'm still updating the YouTube branding. And specifically, I have this YouTube folder, which since we're here, I'm going to do this. All you got to do is, hello, go back, please. Right click on a folder. Where to go? Add folder to favorites. And then that folder will just be in the sidebar throughout all projects, throughout all databases too, if I remember. I mean, these are obviously all right here. So this is persistent between databases, between projects, not between installs, obviously, unless you re-import a database. But I don't even think those care. I don't think that data is saved in any sort of form in a database. So that is the media page. You have the cut page, which if you use Final Cut, you'll be familiar with this. I don't use this ever. It's a really weird linear timeline. We'll look at it here in a second. We have a page that looks more like Premiere. We have, oh God, I clicked it. This is the Fusion page where you work on your node-based stuff. I am not the person to teach you Fusion. We will not be going over Fusion at all tonight. I'm teaching video editing basics. If you want to learn Fusion, go look up Patrick Sterling on YouTube. He's a good guy and is really good with Fusion. Like, I go to him when I need things, and he has like literally hundreds of templates for streamers to use for their editing, like editing flow, whether it be formatting for TikTok or doing your little. This one isn't specifically by Patrick, but like, oh, it's broken. Okay, that's good to know. Like on my little call to actions, he has things like that. They're busted. Why are they busted? Rest in peace, media tags. Those were real pretty. But you guys see them in my videos all the time. You have the coloring page, which I'm a big fan of because I went to college to be a colorist. Actually, I went to college to be a digital cinema or like a cinematographer, but learned a lot of coloring there until I went colorblind. You have the Fairlight Audio tab, and then this is your Export tab. We'll be going over a couple of those today, but I just wanted to go over a quick overview of those. First thing we're going to want to do. So when you want to, first thing, you have to set up your project files. So you're going to want to go over to Project Settings under File, You're gonna go to project settings, or you can click the keybind Shift 9. I never use that keybind. I don't remember what the default settings are for. My cam is desyncing with my audio. Yeah, welcome to FTL problems. Yep. It happens. The VOD will be okay. For all intents and purposes, my face is not important to this. I don't remember what the default settings are when you first boot it up, but you'll end up on this master page. This is where you set your timeline resolution and your video monitoring resolution. So timeline resolution is going to be what your entire timeline is set at, and then your video monitoring resolution is the resolution that this little player window is set at. For most of you people who are just doing gaming content at 1080p or whatever, setting your timeline resolution to 1080p 60, make sure you set it to 60 because it defaults to 24 or 23.997, whatever. Set this to 60. Make sure this is set to 1080p 60. You could probably set this to 8-bit because you're probably not running in 10-bit in color. This is where you could set up proxies. I don't really use proxies, so I can't advise on this whether or not the intended audience for this stream is specifically game streamers, so you probably aren't messing with any of this stuff here. You can set up your working folders where this is just your cache folders. I have all mine set up in a really fast, really small drive. You can set those to wherever you want to store cache. Cache is going to eat up a drive. So just pick a drive or go buy a small NVMe and use that. And then once you have all that set up, you don't really need to touch image scaling, color management. You don't need to touch any of this stuff right now. Maybe change the audio rate to 4800 if it's set to 4100. But beyond that, you go up to presets here, because this is only for this project right now. If you close this and reopen DaVinci, it's gonna set itself back to like 24 FPS. This is a thing I dealt with a lot once when I first started, because I did not realize this was a thing. You're gonna want to go over here. You're gonna want to save as, apply current configuration. Yes, we're gonna save this as the stream tutorial. Okay. And then you're going to want to right click on this and save as user default config. And that way, if this is what you always record your gaming clips in, if this is what you always record your camera clips in, it will always load this up as the default for the project, no matter what project you're opening in this database. Can you cache through like USB 3.1? You could. USB 3.1 is fast enough. If it's a 3.1 drive and it's actually running 3.1 speeds, it's probably an NVMe. So yeah, that works. So that's all the setup you realistically have to do. If you're doing a weird like one-off project, say it's a weird resolution, you can actually just drag it in and it will ask you if you want to change the project's frame rate. So that it matches the frame rate, and you can click change or don't change, and then it will just scale it up. Remember, scaling frame rates gets a little bit weird no matter what NL you're using, because it starts interpolating things oddly. I'm just gonna delete that. So I'm gonna drag in some footage from one of the YouTube videos I've shot this week. It's not gaming footage. It's just one of my standard YouTube videos, but I figure the information is easily to reinterpret into something else. So let's see, what video have I not done? Camera test, accessibility. Let's do the accessibility one. This one's... Where's my footage? God. Did I not put it in there? What did I put those? Camera test, how to become a streamer, how to become a better streamer. Oh, they're both in here for some reason. Anyway, okay, so let's import how to become a better streamer. I actually don't remember which one of these clips is which. So we'll import both of them and I'll figure it out. I'm gonna actually change this because these videos are actually in 4K. So let me change my project settings to match. Is it Shift 9? Shift 8? I don't remember. I will admittedly say I have never used those keybites. So let's see. 4K, 24, 1080p video monitoring. You gonna let me, Yep. So I have those imported. I'm gonna import my usual assets, which is all of these. Is there anything else I needed to import? I don't need to run that Nerd or Die ad again, because that sale ends tomorrow. By the way, guys, Nerd or Die, if you're interested in picking up some new stream graphics, nerdordie.com, they have a sale right now using code March40. You can get 40% off any purchase until March 8th. So by the time this VOD goes live on YouTube, you'll have missed the sale. But use March40, go to cassiejoy.tv/nerdordie. And you can get 40% off any stream package, even their new ones, like the iridescent one. Listen, if I had money right now, I'd be picking that up just because I think it looks cool. Even though I have like my own asset aesthetic at this point. Real cool. Okay. So these are my usual assets that I use for all streams. Oh, and the thing that keeps ending up on my desktop for some reason instead of where it needs to be, which is the ending screen. All right, so I have all of my footage in my media bin here. If you're dealing with a lot of footage, you can make bins. Like usually I would do A-roll, B-roll, all those sorts of things, but it's not needed for a project this small that's like a single A-roll shot. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the edit page. I'm going to right click timelines, create new timeline. I'm going to use project settings, number of tracks 2, number Actually, going to set the audio tracks up to 3 because I typically use 3. We're going to give ourselves an empty timeline, and then we're going to click create. And that gives us our first timeline in DaVinci Resolve. The first thing you can do here is just drop your footage into the timeline. Boom, there you go. You can zoom in and out using this little wheel here, or control equals and control minus zooms it out. I like using this just because it gives me a little bit more granular control. You can adjust your audio monitoring volume right here. I'm blocking it a little bit. Audio monitoring volume right here. And to get started, that's really the only thing you need to know. Up at the top by default, you're probably going to have a look that looks like this. One of the first things I would do is turn on the Inspector tab, which allows you to do things to your footage. If you click onto your footage, you'll be able to zoom in, move it around. And then if you don't like what you did, you can click Reset on all of it. Real simply. You can do cropping. It's got the dynamic zoom feature, which I can never get to work properly. Maybe someone else has. You could do a different blend modes. I have nothing behind that, so it doesn't do anything. Speed changes, all that sort of stuff, all built right here into the Inspector tab. You can look at the metadata, make sure all your stuff's the right frame rate, right resolution. You can get a small audio mixer here over on the side, but I don't really mess with that much. Leave Inspector open. I almost always leave Inspector open. You can get a sound, you can build out a sound library, but I don't use this. I get all my sounds from Epidemic Sounds. I subscribe to them for the year thing, the $500. It's worth it. It's worth it to get Epidemic Sound for all of the B-roll audio and all of the sound effects that they have. If you're taking editing seriously, or you're starting to do editing as a job, or you're a full-time content creator, even it licensed the tracks to your channel and allows you to use like their vast library of like 40,000 something songs on all your stuff for backtracking. Edit index, most people are never going to need to touch that. The big things you're going to want to touch is your media pool, and you're going to want to open up your effects library. This is where you get your basic video transitions, audio transitions, titles, generators, a couple filters and stuff, most of which you can't use. As you see, if you try to use an effect that's built into DaVinci Studio, it puts this little watermark over it, so you can't use this. I don't even own the full the full version because $300 is expensive. But it's a lifetime license. So if you buy DaVinci Resolve 17 Studio, $300, that license will carry over to DaVinci Resolve 18. Yes, that is a big thing. I should mention that now. Thank you, Celtic, for that. One of the biggest things that you may encounter using the free version of DaVinci Resolve is it doesn't use GPU acceleration. I'm getting to the point with dealing with this 4K footage where I need it, and I should invest in the product. But if you're dealing with just gaming footage at 1080p at super low bit rates from Twitch, you will probably be fine on CPU decoding. But that is a thing that you should be aware of. So now that we have our footage on our timeline, oh, I forget that this is a problem with mine. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it on stream. But when I record, today I'm going to talk about 5 to my monitor here. It always goes and does just left ear audio. If you have a similar problem recording to camera or recording to your drive and you, for some reason, have it only on one ear, one of the things you can do is right-click on the footage here, go to Click Attributes, go to Audio, and swap the secondary right channel to your channel 1. For mic tracks, this isn't going to be a big deal. Your mic should be in mono anyway. But if you're doing something that has like game audio and stuff, you're going to lose the stereo effect doing this. But like I said, if you're recording and you only get a mono signal out of your recorder, this is how you fix that. It's Cassie Joy here. There we go. So it's standard timeline scrubbing, but if you've never seen this before, all it takes is grabbing this little playhead at the top and moving along. This is how you scrub through the timeline. You can also just click the space bar and it will play. Okay, so the video. I'm going to mute myself there. It's good. It will play the video. If you're watching game content and you need to speed through video and you're like looking for a moment and you're just kind of speeding in, DaVinci Resolve has a cool thing built in that allows you to speed up your player. Let me turn this up just a little bit. I broke it. Oh, it's Shift L. I always mess it up. Shift L. It plays it at 2x, 4x, 8x, 16x. However much RAM you have, really. However fast your drive is. You can go all the way. You can go plus ultra here. 32x, 64x. It goes to 64. But most of the time, it's 2x. I think I've seen some people do 1.5x, but I don't know how to enable that. If you do, leave a comment in chat or in the video description below. Ooh, playing at double speed does make your computer chug, though. So be aware of that. But when you're doing game streams or you want to highlight a game stream, this is perfect. That way you can watch it basically double speed, Shift L to speed it up, Shift K to slow it back down. You can watch it double speed until you get to a moment that's good if you don't have like markers and stuff. And like, okay, pause it. When you pause it, it instantly goes back to 1x speed so you can do your cutting and then speed back up after you've cut out that clip. Speaking of cutting, that is the most important part of video editing, is cutting up the footage, right? So cutting in DaVinci Resolve is super easy. The A and B keys on your keyboard are your best friends. And I do mean that quite literally. B will bring up your razor blade tool, which can also be accessed from right here. Gives you a razor blade. But the razor blade tool is how you do cutting. So if I go here and I want to go to the clap, let's zoom in a little bit. I can align the playhead to wherever I want and just cut right there, and it cuts down through that single audio track. If I have 2 tracks available, it only does that. It only does that one track. Okay. What you can do is do control backslash, the one that goes like this. Control backslash. Oh yeah, I have the screen things on. Control backslash will do a cut down through all of your tracks. So if you need to cut out all your tracks or cut all your tracks in the same spot, that is the best way to do it. And it will do it wherever your playhead is. Let me undo that real quick. Undo all of that. So I'll do that cut. That's pretty handy. Yeah. Keybinds are your best friend in NLEs. And I encourage you to go and learn the keybinds for DaVinci Resolve. I don't know all of them by heart. I know the ones that I use the most, which is the B one. So I can do straight cuts. And then A gives us our pointer back. If you press A, gives you your pointer back. You can grab your clip. You can move it up into another track. You can move it around. You can move it back and forth on the timeline like any other, you know, how a timeline works. If you want to select multiple clips, all you got to do is click and drag and move them all along themselves. So there's two ways after that. If I wanted to get rid of this clap or this O, if I wanted to get rid of this O, there's two ways of getting rid of it. You can select the clip. If you press the delete key, it does a ripple delete. A ripple delete basically takes that clip, removes it from the timeline, and shrinks the timeline down after it. Or you can click the clip, click backspace, which will leave this clip here. And then you can click this blank and ripple delete the blank if you want. The reason you want to just straight up ripple delete always is because DaVinci Resolve does this a little bit weird. I don't necessarily agree with how this works. Let me just put the title animation here. Right? I don't necessarily agree with how this works because I'm so used to Premiere Pro. But if I just grab this, if I have multiple layers of footage stacked, if I just grab this and delete it, oh, of course, now it doesn't want to work. Now, of course, now it's like, yeah, we're gonna work the way that we're intended to work. Let's do this. What if I delete this? Notice how it deleted the whole strip out of this timeline as well with the ripple delete. We don't want that all the time. So just deleting this and being able to adjust this more freely post that cut is realistically the best way to go about that. But if you're just doing simple cuts on a linear timeline, ripple deletes are perfectly fine. Another interesting tool to cover would be the magnet tool or the snapping tool. If you have the snapping tool turned off, which is this magnet right here, you can click it on or off. I have it turned off now. It lets you move frame by frame instead of snapping to the playhead. So right now it will snap to wherever a clip begins or the playhead begins. If I turn this off, disables that snapping, which could be useful in certain situations. Depends on how your editing is going. So say that this is the video that I wanna export, right? So this is all good. This isn't really good. We'll probably edit this video after like the educational portion of this is over. But say this is good. This is the video one. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to go over to the Deliver tab. Like I said, most people aren't going to touch Fusion. Most people aren't going to touch color. Most people aren't going to touch audio. I will go over Fairlight in another class, mainly because I want to properly script that one out. Because Fairlight can be a little bit complicated sometimes. But say I want to export now. The export page of DaVinci Resolve makes it super easy for you. Especially for most of us who are exporting to YouTube or exporting to Twitter. You can literally just click the export to YouTube button right here on the UI. I want to name this film class. Oh, I'm on caps lock. I click the browse location and we're going to pick we're going to click where I want to do it. I always store my stuff in my finished videos folder, so I'm going to do that. I want to render this video out in 1080p for YouTube, even though I edited at 4K, we're going to shrink it down because I have slow internet or something. Make sure it's rendering at 24 frames like I set it to. For you would be 60. Make sure you set it to 60 for most people. There's also a directly upload to YouTube function. I don't use this. I'm always sketched of those sorts of things. But if you want to connect your YouTube account, you're free to do so. I actually don't even know where to connect that. I think that's in the preferences window. You can go to user. Yeah, I actually don't know where this is. System. Internet accounts in the system of preferences. You can sign in to your Twitter, your Vimeo, your YouTube. I don't use this mainly because I wanna be able to upload it myself because I do a lot of other stuff to it. I'll cut it up again after I've rendered it out and stuff. And then you just click the button down here that says add to render queue. It's gonna add the video here, and you're gonna click render all, and it will render the job out. I'm gonna stop the job because I don't need that to render right now because it's not the thing we're doing. I'm gonna clear out that render queue. But that's realistically just DaVinci Resolve basics. B and A keys are your friends to cut up the timeline. Getting footage in is pretty easy. I think we covered that very well. This is where we're going to talk about questions. If you guys got questions, or if you want to talk art philosophy, we could talk over that. I'm going to start editing this video. While we do that, I'm going to talk to chat. Let me stop recording and restart recording for this bit of chatting session. Is that video? I don't know if I can